welcome to Money, Money, Money. Another year has passed us by and it's been an eventful one for me personally, I'm sure for you as well, and definitely for the personal finance world. So much has happened right from the start of the year when we had the entire controversy on taxation of EPF withdrawals and of course the subsequent rollback. Then we've seen a change in the manner in which small saving schemes are administered in the country. They became market linked. Then, of course, we had the fall in interest rates. And let's not forget demonetization. There's a lot that's happened. And perhaps a lot of these events will also have a bearing on 2017. That's exactly what we are here to discuss with our guests on this New Year's special episode. So let me say hello to Harshvardhan Roongta as well as Feroze, Azeez, both old friends of Money, Money, Money. Gentlemen, great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for taking out the time. So I'll come to you, Feroze. Let me start off with you. First thoughts, 2016. As you look back, how has the year been?
See, I think 2016, like you just mentioned, has been a very happening year. It's been quite dramatic in terms of the changes which have happened. I think if you break that into three parts, one, from a money-making asset perspective, asset classes haven't done too much, in my opinion. Equities, golds, bonds have done reasonably well. Real estate has done bad. So all the assets haven't done too much in this year. But then coming to the news flow and the impact it would have, not just in this year, and will have a spillover effect in the years to come. I think that's been quite progressive. Overall, a mediocre year from a money-making perspective, but a very good year from a reform perspective.
From a administration and perhaps big announcements perspective. Okay, we'll talk about those asset classes. We'll talk about particularly debt because that's what the talking point is these days in just a bit. But Harsh, your opening thoughts. Has this been a wealth-generating year at all?
Well, not really, Surabhi. If you look at what happened in 2016, I think it is a strategic step taken behind for a leap to be taken ahead by the country. Now look at what happened from personal finance perspective. We talk about investing, we talk about expenditure. In all sides, individuals have been completely engrossed with money. We had a situation where you mentioned EPF would have been taxed beyond a point. I mean, it actually shook up people and people started thinking about retirement. They started feeling that all this while what they thought was tax exempt would suddenly become taxable. And so there's a large portion going to be eaten into their corpus. Then we had, of course, small saving schemes. We had a falling interest rate regime. So all those retired individuals, all the pensioners who were dependent on the interest income have started now feeling the pinch. Now, then we look at all other elements, demonetization, of course. I mean, that has really taken, that's a big bang closure of the year.
So, Harsh, we'll come back to demonetization. I won't touch upon that right now because there's so much conversation happening around it already. Now, let's talk about the other big aspect of this year, and that's been the change in the interest rate regime. Started in 2015, and now we're down, 175 basis points, if I'm not mistaken. How is this going to impact asset classes and the way you'll manage your wealth as we step into 2017? Feroze.
See, I think interest rate is one of the variables which does not only influence debt. It actually has the power to influence other asset classes. So point one, how will it influence debt? Whatever the money had to be made in a falling interest rate regime, using debt funds is already behind us. So moving forward, would you make too much money on interest rates falling in a bond fund? The answer is a no. And unfortunately, your monies which are there in fixed deposit, which don't get benefits of falling interest rates, only get hampered when interest
because your return is falling.
So in debt, there's no portion, either fixed deposits nor bond funds will you make you money. Point two is every time there is an interest rates coming down, there's a flight of capital from debt to equity. So equity markets get propelled. Now, unfortunately, that has not happened in the last year, and fortunately for 2017, it has not happened. A falling interest rate year, generally in the past, if you analyze the last 20 years, whenever interest rates have fallen, those years the equity markets have given 18-20% return of this quantum if there's interest rate fall. So it's very good news for somebody who's sitting on the sidelines because interest rates have fallen and that impact has not been transformed into equity market gains. So it's still waiting to happen because there's been a lot of overwhelming news and uncertainty of unprecedented steps like demonetization. So the markets are down. So point two which I'm making is it's very good for equity what has happened, but that's still not behind us and it's still stored in the market. Point Three, I think real estate should have ideally got a benefit of this fall in interest rate.
But has its other problems.
Other problems which it is grappling with.
Yeah.
So I think equity will be the asset class in 2017 because you've had a good news but not factored in. Debt had a good news, bond funds had a good news, but it's already factored in.
Okay.
Real estate has a good news, but there's enough bad news to undo it.
On equities, quick last point, since we're talking about throwback 2016. Has this year been the year of the arrival of the mature retail investor? Because I've been speaking to a lot of fund managers and mutual fund CEOs, and they all say that we don't have this redemption pressure anymore. This used to be a headline of the past, 2013-14, but things seems to be changing. Feroze, your thoughts?
I think there's been a huge change and a transformation. There's a paradigm shift in the thought process of an investor today. He has been able to acknowledge that the patience is the key ingredient to make money in equity. I think that was not understood, because there was a lot of myth which was in the mind, and there was a lot of cobwebs in the mind of an investor, how he uses equity to plan his retirement. Now, for example, if you look at how the mutual fund industry has benefited by this learning curve, and what is the prime cause of this learning curve is because a few years back, SEBI made a mandate that you're going to spend as a mutual fund industry close to 150 to 250 crores per year on investor education. And I think that's actually been the largest reason why this transformation has happened, in my opinion.
Harsh, you track the insurance sector so carefully and you advise a lot of clients on insurance. What do you think when it comes to maturity levels there?
Well, I would say, paradigm shift in the mindset of the, insured or the people looking to buy insurance is the acceptance of term plans. Until now, we had a situation where people did not like a fact that, you're going to pay a cost, you're going to pay a premium, and if you do not pass away, you do not get back anything. So that thought was very scary in the minds of Indians. So, however, in 2016, we've actually seen that people are understanding the concept of insurance. People do understand that the insurance is a product wherein only you're mitigating the risk. It's risk management. And the awareness amongst them is that, okay, fine, we can segregate our investments and insurance. We don't need to club them together.
I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe we can debate this after the break, but it's still easier to find the right mutual fund and pick the right mutual fund. Finding the right insurance product, that's another ball game. Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about after this break. The ideal portfolio mix, looking at the way different asset classes are expected to behave in 2017. Stay with us.